Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the podcast Prophet. You know, it's funny because I'm realizing. First of all, I just want to preface this by saying this is what I was going to say. Sometimes the podcast Prophet is like these very, you know, I don't know if I'd say intellectual, but just like definitely learning or whatever. And there's always a form of learning in there, but this one's a little different because I'm having all these thoughts while I'm giving myself my first manicure in years. And I mean years. I bought myself some swanky nail polish. It's from ILNP. According to the research, they're about one of the healthiest ones you can get on the market that still make fun glitter. I was talking to my local postman because I do, because of where we live so far out of town, sometimes we don't get deliveries or it's hard. Anyway, long story short, I started doing general delivery in Port Townsend, which is where we live. And interesting, I just said we. Wow, I just realized that's the first time I've said we in a long time. And we just ended up having this huge conversation, the postmaster and I. He's hilarious, really funny, cool guy. And just, he kind of I'm 54. Oh, I'm 53. Shit. I'm not even in beef. In real time, it's October 1st, 2025. Welcome, October. I just have so much going on and I had no idea this was going to happen. And when I'm lost with spirit in like different worlds, I don't like just jump right onto my phone. I usually take a few minutes, whatever, but they told me just to start. So, that's why I called Lula's Labyrinth that, because my brain really is like this labyrinth. There's so much going on all the time. Even when I'm calm and I'm still, I can still feel it. So anyway, so I'm giving myself this manicure because I've wanted to do something nice for myself for a really long time. And anyway, the postmaster said something about, or I said, it better be the best nail polish I've ever had in my life, because we had like all these things. I ordered this nail polish like a month ago. And it's been all the shit I've had to go through to get this fucking nail polish. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy. I mean, but then it made me realize, like, I've become the kind of person that, like, I don't do anything unless I 100% like want to do it. And I had an option to just send it back or let it go back and just get my money back and all that. And then I was like, no, you know what? I'm really pulled to get this nail polish. So it's called Bewitched. If they call me to, I will put a picture in the community section. But I'm really excited to do this because I haven't done it in a long time. And hold on, let me ask Spirit, do I want to put any other, like, do I want to put some of this on my nails or nail beds before we start? Do I want to put any of that on my nail beds before we start? So I was thinking I wanted to do an experiment because I haven't worn nail polish in so long. So I was like, what if I did one hand with tea tree oil underneath it and one without, and see if it would last longer, because I like to put tea tree oil on my fingers a lot, and my fingernails, I have to tell you this, that growing up as a child, I was a nail biter, and really bad. I cannot tell you how many times my hands hurt. I had a really good friend. She and I shared that. Hers, to be honest, hers were worse than mine. And I didn't even think that was possible. I mean, worse. I was like, aren't you in pain? She's like, yeah, I kind of like it. I'm like, oh my God. She just liked to live in the suffering. She was a very dark, shadowed individual. But not always. I mean, I brought the light out in her, and I think that's why she loved me so much. And then I had to finally let her go because she, the more magical and witchy I got, the more she was just like, dude, knock it off. And I was like, you know what? I love you, but fuck right off. I love you, but that's so not cool. You're not my friend. You don't get it. So sadly, that had to go. But I always pray that they come back to my orbit. I have so many friends and family that I pray come back to my orbit, but that doesn't mean that they're meant to. Sometimes people stay for a minute. Sometimes they stay for a lifetime. So this magical nail polish is called Bewitched. And how I was led to it was very bewitching itself. And so he's like, so the postmaster and I are, talking about the nail polish and everything and how the box, I was like, remember when my other package? And he's like, yeah. I go, this is what started it, this fucking nail polish. But it was actually really cool because I feel like it was all meant to be, Also, I don't know for sure, but a few days in a row, I had a vision of a name. I think Spirit's changing my name again. Or they're going to add another name to my name. I will give you one hint. It's an animal. And that's all I can tell you. And that was really interesting because it's not something, in fact, as I'm saying this to you right now, I literally have not looked up the spirit meaning behind it. It's not one that I know very well, but I think it's really interesting and magical that it came to me the way that it did. And so it could just be something I'm working with temporarily, or it could be something that's here to stay. But anyway, so let's get this started. I'm going to be doing some stretches too. Do some stretches, drink some water. Oh, that fucking traffic, it makes me crazy. I have a feeling we may be staying here. And I've said we again. Wow. Interesting. So let me ask Spirit. Hold on one second. Okay, I just want to make sure because one of the last podcast prophets that I did and uploaded, they haven't had me post yet. And it's been a minute and a lot of stuff has transpired since then. And at one point, I wasn't sure if it was just for me. Sometimes Spirit has me create videos just for me. And that's because it's like therapy, like I'm talking to Spirit, I'm working through stuff. And so that's my therapy, is to let go and connect and just, go unfiltered. It's kind of like when I used to do automatic writing, but now it's like I have so many journals and notebooks all over the house, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there are some times where I just want to write and write and write. Like when Baba was not well, there were times I could tell she didn't want music. I would keep music and movies on because it was hard to hear her, especially her breathing had gotten so, it was, she looked, there were moments where I was like, she's going to die in a minute. She's going to die in a minute. It was just overwhelming. So I didn't take a lot of time to just be quiet. And sometimes I think Baba was miserable with that, but I had to do what I had to do. And I know she understands. But I was doing a lot of journaling and automatic writing during that time because I didn't realize how much Baba and I spent day in and day out. Even though she was just always here and always present, it was she'd go outside, I'd go outside to, you know what I mean? We spent time apart, it's Alder and I would go hiking or go to the store. It's not like she was connected to my hip, She wasn't my service animal. She was just, I always looked at Bubba as my really awesome friend that I had the privilege to take care of. And, she was such a great guide and wisdom keeper. Drove me crazy. I drove her crazy, but we had such a beautiful, magical relationship and still do. But I didn't realize how much I tended to her or spent time with her or made videos with her or whatever. So when she wasn't sitting on my lap anymore, she wasn't, oh, I'm starting to get a little emotional. I started to just realize how much empty space there was. And since Bubba died on January 31st and today is October 1st, it's so crazy to think that Bubba has officially been gone for 8 months. And as we enter the last, season basically of the Gregorian calendar year, I really am feeling all these different things. And on the last podcast, Prophet, I spoke about what I had been going through with Alder and his recovery. Hold on. Okay, I'm starting the experiment. I was like, I can talk and do the experiment at the same time. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, I really want to try this tea tree oil. But because this nail polish is so bloody expensive, if it's worth it, then it's worth it. So I'm doing this experiment because I like to use essential oils like on my hands. And I want to see like how it's going to affect the nail polish. So I'm going to let that dry first. So I'm putting it on my left hand. I don't think I'll forget, but just in case I do. But the nail biting, getting back to the nail biting, I know I'm jumping around. Like I said, I wasn't planning on this, and I'm in a lot of places. But the nail biting, I had fake nails for so many years that like the nail biting just went away. And the only time, like once in a while, if I had a lot of stress or I was going through something crazy, I would pick at my fake nails. And I don't know, any of you guys who have fake nails know, like, I mean, I'd get like cuckoo about it sometimes where before I knew it, like I'd ripped all my nails off, or at least to the point where I was like, okay, I almost cracked my fucking tooth. You know what I mean? It was just, you know, and I would almost be like a fiendish animal, you know, the way I would do it. And man, after I didn't have fake nails anymore, I realized that biting my nail, like I didn't really go to that anymore. Like it wasn't my whoopee, you know, it wasn't my security blanket. It just wasn't, which was really cool. And then I spent a really long period of time with beautiful, long, natural nails. And also the other thing with that is that I waited tables and bartended, and my hands were in gross shit all the time. So like I wouldn't even think of putting my hands in my mouth. You know what I mean? And I remember one time somebody said, wow, you have the most beautiful nails. I'm like, yeah, you know what's so funny? I'm like, I bit my nails from the time I was very small until I got fake ones. And I said, and then I told them the whole story I just told you. And I said, yeah, who knew? And they were strong as fuck too. They were so strong and beautiful and natural. And so I don't remember when I started biting them again. It's been that long, you know what I mean? A long time. I mean, if I had to venture to guess, I'd probably say it was when I was, maybe when I started going through my awakening and dealing with all these things with myself and Alder. It's just been really powerful. So before I say anything else, I just opened it up and I'm about to go in for the first brush stroke. Let's see what it looks like. I'm wondering, ooh, now mind you, I don't have any lights on in here, so I can't really. So apparently this is supposed to be this super healthy nail polish. And the postmaster and I started talking about nail polish and nails and stuff. And he said, I don't know if I believe that. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, he starts explaining, he's super smart, and he starts explaining like nail polish and acetone and, you know, no wonder why Spirit told me to open the window. Oh, it's awful. Oh, I hate it. Ugh, I hate it. Oh, no wonder. You know what? I'm going to burn something right now. Oh, and it's starting to rain. Interesting. And I think to prevent, I need to pull my hair back because I just put my hand through my hair. The other one, thank God, but let's pull this hair back so I don't do it. But you don't realize like how much you have habits, you know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's why they're having me do this right now, to show you guys like, you know, what our habits are, how our habits start. By the way, love it. Holy shit, it's so fucking beautiful. It is so fucking beautiful. You know what? I don't know. Let me ask them. Let me see. I was going to say, because I have you on dark screen. I'm going to bring it up. I want you to see it. Look at how sad my little nail is. But can you guys see that? That's without a flash. That's natural light. I just opened the window. Look at that. It looks like moons in the star. I love this so much. Oh, it looks like a sad frowny face. Let me see. Oh, wow. Oh my God. I love it so much. Oh my gosh. You guys, I got it off Amazon. It is magical. Holy shit. I'll put a link below for it if you are interested in it. It kind of strikes me as something that'll sell out. The other reason why I bought it was because the reviews were really good. And whenever the reviews are good, and I know that a lot of reviews are paid for and all that, but like, I don't know. And also I use my pendulum. But the smell, ugh, I'm going to burn some rosemary. Like I have a headache right now, like almost instantly from this. Maybe they're trying to show me, like, if I want to do it, it's cool, but, like, I'm going to have to do it outside, you know? Oh, man, my grandma's here. Hi, Graham. So I haven't responded to her yet. When I looked down, it looked like 15 exactly, but then it looked like, but then it was 15:07. So I don't know if that means anything to anybody. Oh, 15:07 is the number 13. Oh, the divine feminine, the witch. I love it so much. Jessica messaged me and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, because I sent her a message and I was telling her about the witch's walk. She's been super busy with her new job. And long story short, I said, hey, I'm like, I met this community of witches up here. And I said it was really divine the way we met. And I said, and they asked me to read at their fundraiser. And then they asked me to be a judge at the event the next day. And she said before she even saw my message, she had a vision of me in a white turban with a crystal ball by water. I think she said, she might have even said seawater. And it's so crazy because, okay, so maybe trying to paint my nail and talk at the same time. It's like, do you ever try to put on mascara and talk to somebody at the same time? For those of you who wear mascara, it's like that right now, but that's okay. You know what's interesting, you guys? I'm so glad they had me turn on the camera because not only am I loving this right now, but I feel like I'm waking up. I mean, I was a girly girl for a really long time, like a girly girl. And over the last decade, I've been, trying to like strip away like my past and, try and figure out who I am and go to my natural hair color. I've been sitting on 3 different hair colors for a while and not understanding. I'm like, how come they don't want me to color my hair? And then I thought, well, maybe they're waiting. I'm going to, maybe it's something else, or I'm like, I don't know. Who knows? There's always a reason. Spirit always has a reason. But what was super exciting was they said not yet after the witch's walk. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense because I feel like I want to meet these witches as myself. But I haven't colored my hair in nearly 3.5 years. And this is my natural color. And it made me realize that I think why I sometimes have a hard time wearing makeup or overdoing it with jewelry or nail polish, the hair, the whole thing, is because I feel like I'm an authentic person and I always want to come from an authentic place. And I know that a lot of you guys are probably going, what? Like, I color my hair. And I'm like, no. I'm like, hear me out. What I'm saying is that I think a lot of people hide behind that stuff. And I know because I was one of them. I hid behind that. I had somebody recently who was joking with me and said, if I look like you and had your gifts and blah, 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 I'd be with a millionaire. I'm like, you know what though? I'm like, that's not my path. Like, that's not what I'm meant to do. I could do that. I could have used, and I did. I used my looks and my sexuality. Drink some water. I used my looks and my sexuality for a lot of things. A lot of things. But you know what? I realized in the end, that's not what I want to attract. That's not what I want in my life. And I think it's important to recognize that. I think it's important to recognize that, looks are fleeting. It's about what's on the inside. That's what matters. So, and some of you may find me conceited or whatever, but take this to the side. You look at me and you see me now, but I have been everything from a double size 0 American sizes to a size 22. So I know what it's like to be the, skinny girl who's dying and everybody feels sorry for her. And I know what it's like to be the biggest girl in the room and everybody feels sorry for her. I know what it's like for someone to say, wow, she's so beautiful. If she lost weight, she'd be a perfect 10. I mean, I'd hear that kind of shit. I bring it up a lot because it was one of the hardest times. I was very blessed to have a lot of friends. I was just that chameleon and wore a lot of masks, right? I wanted to please everybody. I knew I was different. I knew I was strange. And I knew there were certain people I could be myself with and other people I couldn't be myself with. But what hurt me was when I was very young, I was sexually molested. Different times, different people, family, friends, outsiders that were close to family or friends, inappropriate touching, all these things. And what I found at an early age is that boys didn't touch fat girls. They didn't fuck around with fat girls, or they might fuck a fat girl, but they're not going to bring her home to mama. I know I was that girl. And I remember being my biggest, and it was so horrible because I couldn't find anything to wear to go to my friend's party. And I remember when I finally got it all together, I felt so beautiful. I felt so good. And then when I saw the pictures from it, I was disgusted with myself. I was like, oh my God. Like and this was before, cell phones and all that shit, right? Like this was like early 90s. Like it was after high school. I graduated in 90. So it was after high school, but like not quite like going into the world yet. And I just remember that was the moment where I was like, okay, this is it. Am I going to play the fat girl for the rest of my life? Am I going to, and mind you, again, before the spiritual side, before all these things, like trying to figure out who I was, where I fit in. Cut to, 4 years later, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I get with a personal trainer because I'm going on all these auditions, and they're telling me that, I need to lose more weight, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, when I was feeling like the most like myself and feeling strong and powerful, I had like 18% body fat. I went on an audition, and it was for a very big movie, and they were looking for someone for like a breakout role, kind of thing. And they told me after I did my screen test, they said to me, we want to talk to you, and the director and the producer sat down with me. And it actually got to the point where the director actually asked the producer to step out because the producer was talking to me like I had no feelings or emotions whatsoever. And the director could see that I was deflating by the second. But because basically the producer just came out and said, like, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be, the lead, or do you want to be the cute fat girl next door? And I was like, fat? I'm like, I'm not fucking fat. And so he leaves, and the director says to me, listen, here's the problem. And this was before TV and movie, like the film had changed. So I'm 5'2", right? So when on certain film, it squishes you. That's why those actresses back then were so emaciated and were basically anorexic, because they were, especially when they were really short, because it puts so much weight on you, even though it's not there, it just makes you kind of like short and squatty. And so he just said to me, he goes, let me tell you this. He goes, what he should have started with is that the camera loves your face. He's like, the camera loves your face. He's like, I'm not just saying this. He's like, you remind me of Elizabeth Taylor. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he was like, I'm serious. He's like, you have a beautiful, beautiful face. Your skin is like porcelain. And he said, but unfortunately, it hates your body. And it's like they're not even connected. And he's like, the world's just not ready for that yet, or something. I don't remember. And that was the last big audition I went on for years, because I was just like, I can't do this. I worked so hard, and that audition was like an audition that was like by word of mouth. It wasn't something that went out really big. And it was frustrating, and it was really difficult, but I started to realize that if I stayed in Hollywood, if I stayed in that world, that I would die. I would probably kill myself, or I would drink myself to death, or I would get in a car accident from being drunk. Especially because I was living in, I remember when I moved to Sherman Oaks, but most of my friends and people were still on the other side of the hill in West Hollywood and Hollywood area. And if I didn't want to spend the night, I would drive home, going over these windy fucking, mountainous, like hillside roads, like it's like drunk. I mean, I'm laughing. It's not funny. Nobody got killed and nobody got hurt or anything, but it's not funny. That was the whole point, is I just didn't know who I was or where I belonged. But acting, I felt free there because I felt like I could act like a weirdo. And if I was a weirdo, people were like, oh, she's an artist. Oh, she's different. Oh. So when that didn't work out, I, started to plunge into music, and it was kind of the same thing. And it seemed like everywhere I went, it was like, you're so awesome, but you're so beautiful, but you're so sexy, but you're so blah, blah, blah. Or, but, like, your butt's too big. I mean, it just was just such a head fuck. And I know that's why a lot of these women in Hollywood, especially those who are around my age in their 50s and older, are getting so much work done. And because they're striving so hard to, like, be this person that they were. And it's like, it's over. That's gone. You'll never be that. Like, it's not meant to, not in this lifetime. We have a small window where we have that dewy skin look and that, you know what I mean? And as we get older, we can still have, if we take good care of ourselves inside and out, we can still have that. But I'm saying, but we're still never going to, like, don't try to capture, like, right? Like, I'm never going to capture my early to mid 20s, that look, that energy, that age. I knew once I turned 30, I started to see how much I was changing already, So there are things that we may not understand or, about ourselves. And I think that things like this are important. I think they wanted me to paint my nails to be like, you can be anything you want to be here. You don't have to be that. I think that they pushed me to be no colored hair, no fake nails, no makeup. I think they pushed that because they wanted me to find my inner beauty. And it's taken me 50 plus years to really find it. And now I feel like they're like, yeah, but now that you love yourself, now that you feel that good about yourself without all of that regalia, it's okay to put it back on because you know who you are without it. Ooh, powerful. 27, 23. And then I went to 24, right? And those ages are very fragile, 23, 24. We're very impressionable. Every decade of aging is important and interesting and fun. And it's all about the journey and the ride, not the destination. Part of the matrix was the destination. Like, you need to do this by this time because if you don't, blah, blah, blah. And now all of these TV shows and all of these people and the internet, we've been breaking barriers, showing people what 50s look like. And what really got me right before I ordered the nail polish was I had the hair color and I was like, I'm ready to do my hair. I want to do my hair. And it was one of those days that I felt really sexy. It was sunny. I was tan. My hair was like nice and fresh and curled. And I walked by my mirror. I was naked. And I walked past my mirror and I kind of looked and I was like, oh. And if you guys know, if I can find it, I'll put a link in the description box. There's always fun things in there. And ways to contribute to the channel or to reach out to me if you'd like to work with me one-on-one. But what was, I think it's called Geely was the movie, or Gigi, maybe it was Gigi. And the actress, Rita Hayworth, there's this scene in it, and she's iconic for it, where it's like, she's so beautiful, she's so breathtaking that everybody that sees it is like, you're like entranced. And they said that in real life, she was really like that. Like, you were just entranced by her and her beauty and the way, like she had that light. And I had that moment and I turned and I looked at myself and I'm like, holy fucking shit, I'm gorgeous. I'm beautiful. I'm sexy. I am divine. I could have only prayed to look this amazing at 53. When I was growing up, 53-year-old women did not look like me. And now I'm seeing women, I just saw Helen Mirren, she just did Paris Fashion Week and she's 80. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, she's 25 years older than me and she's, or more. And I was like, that's what I want. Like, I want to be walking the runway when I'm 80. We have broken these barriers. We have broken the matrix. We have said, you know what? This is my body. Now, here's the thing. I will be honest with you, I still have an issue with certain things. And you can think whatever, but I'm just going to tell you this is my perception. I think that there is a way to put yourself out there that's you. And then tasteful is what that means to you and your energy. And then there are people that put so much of themselves out there, and I don't buy it. I don't feel like that's who they really are. I feel like they're using the system. I feel like they're using their sexuality. And this is for people with breasts, especially natural breasts. And I say this because over the years, I have seen breasts weaponized, sexualized, not for food, for what they were actually put on our chest to do, right? But this sexualization of it, and I'm going to put it out there, Sydney Sweeney, I don't know what it is about her. I didn't know anything about her. I'd seen her in pictures or randomly or whatever. I didn't have a good feeling about her, but there was always something about her there. And this is many people, by the way. There are many people that are famous, whether they're in politics or entertainment or whatever field, sports, that you can just feel their energy, or like you can just feel like who they really are. And there's something about her, I have to be honest with you, that just rubs me the wrong way. I think she's phony. I don't know. There's just something about her. And her tits out at the last fucking award show were it was obnoxious. I just think it's like, fuck, dude. Like let's just say this. I can't think of her name right now, but the actress from the Mad Men, who is this beautiful glamazon, right? Like, she owns that proudly, right? Because there are some women who are, her, Taylor Swift. I have a niece who stands 6 feet tall without any shoes on, right? There are some women that just have this kind of glamazon. I say that because it's like Amazon, but there's this glow, this beauty about them. And because I worked in runway and I worked with not supermodels, but I worked with supermodels, but not like, the supermodels. But I worked with a lot of models that were very famous in their field and very professional and whatever. And I've just had so many conversations going to fashion design school, working as a fashion designer, and just like women's bodies. It's just so important to me. I worked with so many pageant women, and it upsets me, and I don't know why. And it must be something that maybe I need to work on. But I guess to me, because it feels like it's moving the movement back. And then when I saw that she's telling people that, she's in love with Scooter Braun, this guy who made Taylor Swift's life like hell and tortured her and made all this money and didn't give a fuck, like somebody who has like basically no, like, bankrupt of morals and like just doesn't give a shit. I mean, there are so many people who have like horror stories about him, and she's saying, oh, I like him, I don't care what people think. I'm like, yeah, I think that's the fucking problem. You don't care what people think. And I think that sometimes when women are really beautiful, especially from a young age, they start to get groomed and they're treated differently. And I pray that someday she's gonna, come out and say, when she's older, and maybe she'll say something about that. And feel free to comment below. You can, I'm always open to conversation, whatever you have to say about it. But I feel for me, there are just certain things where it's like, and I get the rebellion too, like when you're young and you're trying to press people's buttons and you're trying to fuck with people. But what grosses me out is people who try to be relevant or they're like, I'm a rock star, I'm a rebel, but you're really not, because you're actually sacrificing your own self-worth to make a point. You know what I mean? Like, if she came out later and was like, oh, I did all this just to prove a point or whatever, then I might be like, brava, like that's, whatever. But even then, I don't think so. And even then, would I say brava, or would I be like, what are you trying to say though? Because we know this. We've been fighting this patriarchal nonsense forever. We've been fighting this sexualization forever. So I know what it's like to be that girl. And I became the quote unquote fat girl because I needed to protect myself from the predators. And I really didn't know any other way. And once it happens to you and you're like, you wouldn't even think about, there were times I wouldn't even think about walking home by myself at certain times of night, or I wouldn't even think about, during doing certain things. And over the years, I've taken my power back, but it made me realize, like, I've been deconstructing myself for a really long time. And I feel like this nail polish, some people may or may not understand this, but in a weird way, it's helping me take my power back. I'm going for the second hand now. I wanted the right hand to, I don't like to polish my nails all at the same time. I like to do one hand at a time and kind of let it rest for a minute, because then it gives me time to, if for some reason I have to use my other hand or whatever. But I know one of the reasons why I, and to segue, off my soapbox, yeah, and and Spirit's like, that's okay. You don't have to segue off your soapbox, right? Because I'm an older woman. Now I understand. Now I understand why certain women, when I was growing up, didn't want me to be sexualized. My mom would say, are you going out in that? And I'd be like, yeah. And she'd be like, not in my house, you're not. Which was so silly, because especially when we lived in this one apartment, I lived on the first floor. All I had to do was throw shit out my window and go pick it up and put it on when I got in the car with my friends, But it's also why a lot of women's groups and whatever for years would be, would say, don't dress like that, like you're asking for it. And I'm not saying anybody's asking for it, but I do definitely think that when you do something like that, you're telling people who you are. Because her breasts are beautiful and voluptuous and wonderful. Oh, somebody must be trying to call me, because it said the video, do you want to stop the video for this call? Oh, well, it must not be too important, because they told me to start the video, and I'm not going to look at it right now. But yeah, I mean, we do have a responsibility to ourselves to say, if this is what I'm wearing when I walk outside, this is telling the world, your outward appearance is telling the world who you are. And I think that I liked being, the granola girl, so to speak. We used to call my friend, and my childhood friend, we used to call her that growing up, because she was always the one that was like trying to promote like natural stuff and whatever. And she still is. She's a yoga teacher. Or I don't know, she's in yoga, or last time I heard she was in yoga. Ooh, I got a new voicemail. Wonder who it is. It's probably my landlord. He's like the only person that really calls me. Yeah. So it's interesting. When I did the one hand, I really liked it. And now that it's on both hands, I don't know. It's so weird. It gets me. Okay, so I'm kind of looking at myself, a reflection. And no, I do like it. I think I can see why I did it. But yeah, I didn't like being a slave to it. I didn't like being a slave to the upkeep of nails. And when I had the money, I would get manicures and pedicures all the time. But I haven't, that's not a luxury that I've had for a really long time. And even now, I don't think I would go anywhere to get a manicure and pedicure unless I knew it was like a super clean facility and it was all natural and no chemicals. Because, I mean, this nail polish, like I said, it says it's all clean and everything. Well, if it is, how come it smells like that? I think the postmaster's right. Like why would it smell like that if it's, I don't know. I'm a little discouraged about that. But the nail polish is really cool. It's fucking beautiful. And I'm kind of excited. I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment with it. I'm going to do one coat and just kind of see how long a coat will stay on. Just like one clean coat. And then the next time I just realized I don't have any nail polish remover. I guess I should probably get some of that. I do know that they make natural nail polish remover. Hold on. I want to see something. I can't. Oh, I guess I could. Hold on. If it cuts off, I'll do a part 2. Because I'm really curious. Yeah, it was my landlord. That's just like I said. Usually I put my phone in airplane mode or, yeah, when I do things like this, and I realized that it wasn't, like I said, I wasn't prepared for this. So anyway, I think we're pretty much done. I don't know if they want me to say anything else at this time, but thank you for sitting here with me and talking about life and things and nail polish. And I hope that you find what you're looking for in terms of maybe it's time for you, if you found yourself on this episode, maybe it's time for you to do a makeover. After the witch's walk, not only am I going to color my hair, but I am going to cut my hair. And I've been thinking, because the other day when I was having my Lady Godiva moment and feeling all beautiful, I was like, holy shit, like my hair, when I pulled like my hair down, like, because it's kind of like almost like in a V shape, the way I cut it, because I cut my own hair. And when I pulled the longest strand of my hair down, it was almost to my butt. So I feel like I haven't had a good haircut in a really long time. And I feel like I want to cut a lot off. And I have a few hairstyles that I'm looking at. So I'll either go get it done professionally or I will do it myself. I think I can do it myself. But I don't know, because I haven't cut. One of the cuts that I'm looking at doing, I've never done that before on myself. So I'm not afraid of it. I have good scissors, and I can watch a tutorial, and my sister was a hairdresser and I got my hair cut for years. So I'm a good observer, and I know like you have to do certain things to have certain things happen. And I know my own hair, but also it's such a dramatic cut that I don't know if it's like, I feel like I may want to entrust it to somebody else, but we'll see. Anyway, do we have any more messages, or do you want me to keep going with this episode today for any reason whatsoever? Nope. All right, you guys, until next time, take good care of yourself and each other. And if you're interested in why I keep saying we, I'll leave you with this. In the last podcast Prophet episode that I spoke of, it was an hour and 40 minutes. I was actually I felt like it was going to be a series. And I was going to, because it was going so long and it was getting really intense and really intricate. And it was talking about twin flames and narcissism and empaths and addiction. And it was so intense. And just all the things that Alder and I have been going through and talking about. And then it was crazy because while I was talking, I accidentally hit the camera and it stopped. And earlier I had done something, I think, where that should have stopped and it didn't. And then it like stopped like right, like mid-sentence. And I thought, oh, is this going to carry on to something else? And that's why at the beginning of this, I was like, do you want me to carry that over? So I don't know if they'll have me do an extension of that or if that's just where they wanted to let it lie and leave it. But it was really good and really intense. And I don't know if this will go out before that will go out. But either way, if they call me to, I'll put links to them. But look out for that. It'll probably say something in the title into the fact of podcast Prophet, addiction, narcissism, twin flames, like something like that, empath. So look out for that. And make sure that you hit the bell so that you're notified when I put new readings out, because if you haven't noticed, Sacred Sunday is no more. And now we're going to be doing a segment called the Sacred Circle, and it's going to go live, but it's going to go live when Spirit wants me to go live. It's not going to be, unless there may be times where they have me do a specific day and time. I don't know, but I know that it's not going to be a reoccurring like every Tuesday, every one, you know what I mean? It's going to be when they tell me to go. And whether that's in the middle of the night or early in the day or midday or whatever, they'll know like that's why I need to go live, to connect with those people or have those people connect with us, vice versa, all of the above, I'm really going with the flow of that. And yeah, so welcome October, welcome witches. This is our favorite month of the year. This is when it really, from now until the end of the year for a lot of people, especially North America and in Europe and in America and Canada, a lot of us, we celebrate a lot of holidays between October 1st and December 31st. So happy holidays. I love you so much. Take this time to really enjoy life, connect with yourself. but also get in with the community. Find yourself a local coven of witches if you're feeling, or just a local community of people, whatever you align with, whether they're light work or witch. To me, it's all the same, but it's not the same to everybody. You know what I mean? Right? Not everybody aligns with the full witchy thing. Even if they are like a natural witch, they may not align with the whole part of it. But it's interesting. I've been getting that from Spirit a lot, that they really want us to connect to that part of ourselves that feels alive, and having people around us that boost our creativity, boost our spirits, and keep the vibrations high. If you've noticed that let's put it this way. When the sitting American president thought like, oh, I'm just going to fire these people for freedom of speech, and he's been trying to bring it into this very gross Hitler-esque, kind of thing. Thank goddess, our fellow Americans have not let us down, and they pushed back. Disney lost $1.7 million in I think it was in less than 2 days. $1.7 million. Their subscriptions, it's not like they're thousands of dollars, you know what I mean? So that's a lot of people spoke to Disney and said, you know what? I don't fucking need this from you, and I don't have to promote this because, and I knew people, or I didn't know people, but I read about people who said that people who don't even like him canceled because they were like, no, because if you start with him, it's just going to trickle down from there. We have got to hold tight, right? Like, we have to band together. We are the band of sisters and brothers. Like, we are not going to be, no, we will not have it. We promised each other, we promised our ancestors we would never have another World War II. We would never have any Nazi regime, and we won't. And I love that. And I love the power that is coming through right now is so potent. So make sure to stay in a high vibration. And if you're around people that lower your vibration, do your best to, inject the positivity. But if you feel drained or whatever, don't let the vampires take you down. Remember that we can't save everybody. And with that being said, the reason why I said we is that I really wanted to be completely done with Alder. I found out all this shit, and I was just upset, and really, really, really upset, because we had been working on things together, and we vowed to each other that we wouldn't see other people while we were doing that, and he was more than one person, and I was devastated when I found out, and how I found out, and everything was just fucking crazy. And especially when it's like local, because I'm like, don't shit where you eat, dude. Like, this is my, like, I've been like feeling this energy of this town for a long time, and I know I'm meant to be here, whether it's for a long time or a short time. But I was like, we lived in certain areas that, a lot of people knew of him because somebody caught, I didn't even know this until Spirit led me to it, but somebody caught Alder doing something on film and put it on like a local, like whatever, and it started this whole thing, and I didn't even know. And I was like, dude, did you even know about this? And he's like, no. I'm like, that's crazy. He's like, I know. I go, do you not see Spirit in that working there? Like, they're trying to show you, like, you cannot hide, you cannot run, you cannot, like, you have to face this, you must heal this. Talk about, sexual trauma and addiction and all that kind of stuff, like I was saying in the last episode. So after I went through like the 7 stages of death with it and all that, and he and I, like, we sparred last Thursday, and then we, like, kind of left it. And then yesterday, we didn't talk from Thursday till yesterday on Tuesday, September 30th. And I kind of said to him, I'm like, I want to leave this here. I can't, whatever. And all of a sudden, his higher self, my higher self, the spirit guides came through, and they just told me to say certain things to him. And before I knew it, I was like, holy shit. And by the time he left and I got in the house and whatever, I was like, oh my gosh, I got the vibe, like, Spirit's like, you cannot give up on him. You cannot give up on him. He needed that. You needed this talk today, but like, he is who you think he is. He's just so lost in shadow, and he needs your help. And it made me realize, like, and it's not like where somebody might be like, oh God, you're being an enabler. I'm like, no, this is part of our soul contract, and he had said to me before he left, he's like, if I ever get too far off track, he had said that to me before many times, like, pull me back, pull me back, pull me back. And I tried and I tried and I tried, but I realized over the last, 14 months, like, it was way more powerful than me. It was something bigger. And then the eclipse season, oh my gosh, like everything blew up. And it's the same with like the American president. Like he thought he can do that in eclipse season. It was like so dark and shadow and whatever. And then people started pulling out. And so I'm excited and I'm inspired to see what's going to happen next. And the next phase that Alder and I are meant to go through, I'll keep you posted. But as of right now, when I say we, it's because we're moving back into that direction, because that's where we're meant to go and weave through. And whether that means I'm just meant to help him, whatever, and we continue together as a couple down the line, or because now, as of right now, I'm like, he's my friend. You know what I mean? Like I'm still going through and digesting my human side of that, and the third dimensional energy of that, and all the pain and suffering of that, and the lying and the manipulation and all that, like, because it's dark magic. And so, yeah, it's just been really powerful. So I feel like October is going to be very revealing in a lot of ways. We're just going to see a lot of amazing, powerful things. Also, Taylor Swift has a new album coming out, and that's always good. That always brings, and she's smart that she's doing it in October, because then that gives people time to like stay in that. And then like, it'll probably be a big gift for like Christmas, you know what I mean? And so people will be playing that music. And it's supposed to be based on like all the things that she went through on her tour. So that should be really interesting. And yeah, I never understood why Spirit liked me to create a safe space for pop culture, but it is a part of us, especially because of social media. It's become even bigger. And that's why it's good for us to talk about things when they happen, or, because, and if I can go back just really quickly before I head out, let's just put it this way, when Sydney Sweeney walked onto this stage, I think it was the Emmys, because I was drawn to watch it. It was on YouTube. I didn't watch the whole show, but I just watched the clip. I swear to God, I felt like I heard like devil in a red dress instead of that like devil in a blue dress, but it was like, there's something about her that's really dark. Like it's almost like I feel like she's not really a woman. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever's driving her is like some like male force that's like trying to divert. I don't know how to explain it. Oh my gosh, if you feel that too, please comment below. And again, I'm like, she's just a young woman. I don't want to be a fucking asshole and like pick on her or whatever. But if you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to talk about things, same with myself, right? Like we have to be prepared for what is returned. And could it be completely 100% about me and like something with her that's like upsetting me? Absolutely. I mean, it's like looking at myself when I was her age, except for my boobs weren't that big. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're beautiful. I'm just saying, just very fucking interesting. There's just a lot of interesting thing. And there's a lot of women too, who are easily susceptible to control and power. I saw right before this started, I saw this thing, and that was not an accident either. But Gwyneth Paltrow's father, Bruce Paltrow, was known in the industry to be a really beautiful, solid man, a good man. Like when he got ill and died, like Gwyneth Paltrow was devastated. I mean, she was devastated. And she was on the Graham Norton show, later in life. Her father's been gone for years and all this. And they were talking, Tom Hanks was there. And somehow they were talking about her dad. And she was like talking about what an icon he was and how he was always very real. Like, even though he was very famous and had money and all that, she's like, he was a very real person. And she said that when she got all this fame really early, and her Oscar in her 20s and all that stuff, she said, it started to change me. She's like, fame can change people. And even though she grew up around it, her mom is Blythe Danner, another famous, person. And she said, her dad asked if he can, meet with her. And when they were talking behind closed doors, he said to her, I've noticed in, over this period of time or whatever, that you have become an asshole. And he just like gave it to her straight. And she said that changed everything for me. And, and I think he died shortly after that. And she said, that's what made her realize like to carry on the legacy of her father was to be humble and not be like that, So everything we do and everything we say is a choice. And remember that what you're not changing, you're choosing. Until next time, I love you so much. So does Spirit. Take really good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be.